In this video, me and NOAHREYLI actually going to go back and VOD you his games in the solo cash cup for you guys. He got 106th place and was really disappointed in his placement here, mainly because there was so much missed opportunities. As you can see, he got a really good first game, kind of an ideal first game and win with a lot of elims, and then from there he kind of just like floundered around and didn't get into the end game too consistently. Only 2 games did he actually get into the top 10, which is pretty much where all the placement thresholds lie. There's some really big mistakes that you guys can learn from in terms of mid-game positioning, when to take fights, strategy for cash cups as well, that you guys should learn and improve from. And I think in these cash cups, like, at a point, you just need to stop fighting kids, you know? Like, and just focus on position. Like, especially after you win first game, you're just going to be at high elo like pretty much the whole time. Like, you should just not take a fight unless you have like a massive advantage. Especially with solos, you should always have to try have a car, you know, as well. Just because that makes your mid game way easier. And you can also early rotate to a spot that you can refarm from, you know. Nice. It's fine. Did you get anything off that though? Yeah, you're just killing people that are just like even more shambles. I think after you get that kill, you can just focus on getting in and also trying to bounce it probably. Yes. Start from above. I don't know, that game was literally just because like between here and here, right, like here and here, you were just trying to fight kids and then you didn't focus on positioning. If you just focused on positioning with max mats, you still would have got those kills, you know, but they wouldn't have been essential. Like, you don't want to have a position in a cash cup where you're forced to take a fight when you don't really need it, you know. That's a bad setup. He had a, that's good, peak. He had a rank peak. If you ever do that like mid game, you should just oh. That's fine. Okay. If you ever do that mid game where you just push somebody's box and they're just chilling, just make sure you do it in a way where they can like, or you can let them bait them. You know. Yeah. Like you let him open up and then you get a free shot because of it. Nice. Just scout for this kid to rotate. So you don't even need to do this, right? Like, because now while you've been doing this, look, you had 3 rotate. And while you've been like building over towards his box, he's just gone into zone for free, right? And if you were just watching him, then you could have just done that. Like, there's no point even doing this building thing over. Because now you could get held, but you're good. You should be in metal here as well, probably. And again, like, you don't need to fight this because you've got bouncers and you're like max mats. You're just being too like ADHD. You should have, especially because you're 200. If you're 200, you want to try to stay 200 for as long as possible. If you don't have bigs, you know. Yeah. Because then you can get a refresh easily later. And this refresh here, like, what is he? He has fuck all, you know. Like, it's not like a worthy like. Even if you were to kill this kid, you probably gain like 1 minute at the end of it, right? Like, or a harpoon maybe. You should just chill a lot more and don't even bother trying to take it because this is way too greedy. And he just fought like 4 wounds here. Nice. Yeah. And that was a decent game, but you just literally messed up like 1 rotate.
So it's just double key to have bouncers kind of, right?
Yeah, pretty much. It's like a what's it called? Do you remember the cash cuts back with crash pads, right?
Yeah. Like
you just W key into your head crash pads and then you could, or shockwaves, and then you just have an easy end game, right? And you get like top 5 guaranteed if you're good movement. Yeah. It's kind of like that. And now you don't need anything. I mean, you still got 1 bouncer. Like 1 bouncer's enough. And what you can do, especially because you got fish, is recycle a bouncer and storm or something, you know? Yeah. Just to save mats. You have assistance, it's fine. You don't need to be center. I mean, you could try go center third, like if you weren't messing around with floppers, but that would have been worthwhile. Yeah, like here you should have just popped and used it.
Yeah.
Probably.
Just too careful with it.
Because this game's just gonna be kind of hard without flops to save your mats. Like peppers, you still have to build them, but flops, you can actually just save a whole moving zone pretty much. Like, okay, you got it. Probably could have later rotated that maybe. Oh. If you're gonna crystal, you want to have as many builds as possible that you can recycle. You know, like so you could have gone for the crystal later, or if you didn't get it, then pepper, just to make that cheaper. But because all you want to have is like more mats here, probably. You carry your angles again. Whenever you go for a refresh like that, you got to think like that is the kill you need, you know. So you should just full commit to getting it. So you should block off angles and then go for it at the same time, you know. Because a lot of the times you just rush and swing on a wall end game, and then you leave yourself really open to like a lot of different angles. is good again. I think you're rushing a bit. Like here, you should be like trying to stick Edge of Storm, you know, because you're rushing out like straight into someone when you could have just hugged left a little bit and then wrapped that way. Especially when there's somebody behind you and you know there's people fighting behind you, or even got upper layer. Like once you got in this box here, like potentially see if you could have got an upper layer, you know, and then that would have been way freer. Was this you just keying too much again, right? Probably. Like here again, like. If you just think, like, if you just focused on position, right, in this game, when it's really important, like, where would you want to be? Like, either on this hill or, like, even center would be decent, or, like, lake house or somewhere, you know? If you just focused on that with 8 bounces, 4 floppers, and this many hills and this guns, you know, you'd have such a good game, I think.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way you don't get, like, top 10, you know, without it.
Yeah, the thing is, like, I even get my position at some point. Like, here I'm on the mountain, right? Like, I'm full chilling.
Yeah, it's not the best position though.
Yeah.
But it's not bad. But then you start keying again, like.
Yeah.
Key. 11 bounces, bro.
Like here, like tell me where should I rotate you? Like.
It's just like earlier you shouldn't have came up this hill. Like what I was saying with like center second would have been good because you'd have been like here. Like, you don't really ever want to be edge third, like, and that's where you put yourself, you know? Yeah, like, carring as well. Like, when did you rotate? Like, you're here, and then as this zone shows up, like, second zone, you come the whole way up onto the hill on edge second, you know, you see?
Yeah.
Like, pretty much edge second. But if you just went more center, then you would have been pretty much vibing this game, like, and you wouldn't have had this rotate. Like, this rotate's always going to be bad. Like, you should probably just recycle and maybe bounce a few times, you know? Instead, you're going for a kill. Like, you always edge third as well, which I think is an issue. Like if you're edge third, right? Yeah, this is like
he's hard griefing. Like
he needs a kill. Look at your loot, right? 10 bounces, bigs, minis, floppers, and then look at his loot. He needs the kill, right? That's why he's doing it. And you're putting yourself edge third, which is why this happens. Like it's not his fault that this happens. It's your fault for going that edge, you know.
Yeah.
And then here you just get hard fucked coming in, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hard scuffed. You're in that mindset where you're used to just taking every fight and beaming somebody and then pushing them, you know? When, again, like, what do you gain out fighting here, you know? Like, this next fight, like, what do you actually gain out of it? Like, because you only stand, you only stand to, like, risk things by fighting like this, you know?
Yeah, Chapik's hard macros me off too.
Yeah, you waste all. Bro, that, if you save that to end game, like, I could got shot on there. Nice.
Chapik's hard shits on me. I'm not baiting. Like, that was look how weird you killed me. I'm not baiting. Like, I didn't like hurt him once. Like, he always shot before me. I'm not baiting. He just pre-fired me 10 times.
Yeah, but again, he doesn't need to fight you here. You go and key him, like you can literally just disengage at this point and you'll do fine this game with your loot, you know.
Yeah.
But and I think honestly after second or third game when you're at like top 100 elo, like you shouldn't even go for it, you know. Like kills like this. You see the zone, like look at the position you could have been in. Here as well, you could have been dead side like up this way somewhere, you know.
Yeah.
And been absolutely like look how everybody's congested. Like you tried such a free game, and you had a 0-point fish, which is like card broken. It rotates. Yeah. Just a bad fight. Again, I think the edge too much. Like you can easily be center here. You know, there's nothing stopping you from being center. Like yeah, just like as soon as you get your kills and you're like, okay, I've got. Just think, do I have good enough loot to get top 5 this game? Right? Do you have bouncers? Do you have 0-point fish? Like, especially if you have 0-point fish, like it's literally a free game. You're going for a bit too many mats, like, especially with 3 bigs. Like you don't need to use that many mats.
Like, people go front, so no, it's fucked.
Yeah, use silly mats. Go for height too early. Going for height, you're on a high layer too much. You mess up this moving zone. You don't really need to be on such a high layer in solos. Like that's just what gets you cucked, is because you go so high.
Yeah, that's where high ground's fucking shit in solos.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Unless you just get it gifted, like it's pretty bad. You're better off being a lower layer and just like ramp tarping and recycling bounces and shit. You were way too high up, Like for most of these layers, like
imagine you just play high ground, right? You kill people out of AR. Like there's just a kid getting refreshed on low ground, just bounce it up and his high
yeah,
ground.
you're dead. You're dead. Yeah. Unless you have a harpoon on height, you're just dead. You just got your refresh like install. If you went for that refresh like sooner, like you just play mid ground and then you went for it sooner, then you'd been fine. Like if you get a refresh and it's only 150 mats and you're mid ground, like it's not normally enough.